That's what I like about the newer generation with like social media and stuff like that. Like the rules are gone. Like the gatekeepers are not there. So like you can make a living or become famous without having to go through the gatekeepers. My generation, we had gatekeepers. You had to go through this person, you had to do it this way. So a lot of it was like a lot of guys didn't do crowd work because it didn't pay off for anything. You couldn't put on TV and stuff. So now it's like this is what's great about this generation. It's like just do whatever you want. That's why like you can't tell younger comics that what they're doing is wrong because you don't know. Like how am I going to tell someone who doing their thing and they blow up is wrong? That's their thing.
Self-awareness is described by psychologists as the ability to focus on yourself and how your actions, thoughts, or emotions do or don't align with your internal standards. That is a very big theme throughout the conversation we have today with our guest, who is an absolute stand-up comedy vet, Gavin Stevens. Gavin recently released a comedy special titled Inclusive Coma, and beyond being absolutely fucking hilarious, it is now nominated for a Juno Award. And throughout this conversation, you're gonna hear about how he almost didn't even release it, which is so fascinating. The first time I've seen Gavin perform live was actually 10 years ago, and he has so much knowledge and insight within the world of stand-up comedy, and we get his total perspective. We do some deep dives, talk about what it takes to have longevity in this business, go into what continues to fuel him, to keep the fire and the passion going, and so many other amazing things. I think it doesn't matter what art form you're into, or if you're going for something in life, trying to make your dreams a reality, you're going to get something out of this conversation. And once again, I appreciate Gavin so much for his time. Also, to let you know, if you want to see him live pretty fucking soon, he's got a show coming up on May the 13th at Comedy Bar, and it's also a showcase for all the Juno nominated comics, so you're gonna see some of Canada's best on this very night, and you should definitely check it out. I'm gonna be there, but that's all I gotta say for an intro. Hope you enjoy this one. Here's Gavin Stevens.
Hey, can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Awesome, yes.
Sorry, I'm just making sure my yeah, okay, I'm using my microphone. How are you?
Oh, great, man. How you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for doing this.
Oh, no, this is my pleasure. Just to let you know, too, I think the first time I've seen you live was about a decade ago in Hamilton, Ontario. And
oh, okay. Are you from Hamilton?
no, I just went to college there for a short bit of time. And yeah, I used to go see a lot of shows from like like in the small clubs, from like comedy to like underground like metal shit and battle raps, and like I just loved just going out there when I had my student loan and expendable money to see like take in like arts and entertainment.
I mean, it's got a great music scene here, so I mean, I haven't been out in a while, but yeah, it does have a great music scene.
Yeah, I feel like most of us haven't been out in a while.
No. I mean, I wasn't out since like COVID. I mean, before COVID, so I'm a hermit.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting too, like just as like I talked to my different comic friends, like what they did over COVID. Like I know a lot of them like took the time to just like kind of take a rest and meditate, while others like kept it rolling, doing backyard shows like cottages. And what did you do, man?
I for me it was just I liked the time off. I liked it, like my whole time, like there was no expectation, and I think like I don't like the idea of this. I don't know if this is gonna sound. A lot of comics didn't understand what I was saying, but I don't like the like your value is tied to who you are. So like there was no value. Like nobody expected anything. I didn't have to justify my value to anybody. That sounds pretentious and weird, but it was a thing. Like I could just ride my bike. It was a nice time.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it was just like, yeah, it was free. I mean, I love doing stand-up. But there was a freedom in like not doing no expectation.
Yeah, especially stand-up culture. There's such like a grind mentality to it. With some people. I know everybody has their own unique journey, but I don't know, it seemed like I don't want to talk too much about COVID, but for like a lot of people, it was a nice, like healthy reset and even to think about. And even I'm part of like, I do like videography outside of doing the podcast for different art scenes. And I noticed some people even evolved in different crafts from having that time to lean back and think about what they're doing. And like for example, I do a lot of stuff in the battle rap scene, and there was like some guys who were like pretty amateur, like getting smoked and killed like on stage. And then we just started doing shows again like the other month, and they're coming back and they're like animals, just having a time, almost like Tony Stark in the cave, like just building. And then
I think a lot of younger people are like less scared of COVID, so I think they were going out and just doing everything and anything. And a lot of older people like my age are just like, you get, I don't know, like I always compare, like even before COVID, like when you get older, it's a different, like, do you remember when Jordan was like, or when he was an older player, like his last season or so? Less dunks.
The tail end of that, like
less dunks, more fadeaways. Right, he was more, he was conserving the energy, but he was a better player. That's kind of like being an older comics. Like you're not out there to socialize. So in a way, COVID was like, oh, that's a nice break. But I can see younger people are like, this is their like, that's how they socialize. That's their like everything. Like you knew at whatever, that's your whole life. That's what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even like I love like just to plug to, like you got this new album, and it's a Juno nominated, all inclusive Coma. I actually loved it. And
oh, thanks.
Even to touch on the age thing, it seemed like the whole like there's like a message in it of embracing your age, and, stuff like that, which I thought was beautiful.
Oh, thanks, man. There's a lot of that stuff in it. It was like, I guess that's where the mentality was coming from. A lot of it was like the beginning stuff was like I was tired of being on the road, so I had this whole bit about not wanting to go out, and then and then the idea of being interesting was like, oh, it was like it was an entropy, like we're all dying, we're all gonna die, so you're interesting is just what you make it, right? Like it's a lot of that stuff. It's a lot of older man stuff, and I'm not that much in it now because that album's done, so I'm working on new stuff, which is a little bit, there's got some COVID stuff, but not much. But it was fun.
Yeah, it's amazing too. And even like to have it like nominated as a Juno, like I feel like that's pretty special and monumental.
It's surprising. I was surprised. Like I was like, I know Allison told me, Allison Dora from Howlin' War, she was like more positive the whole time because I didn't want to release it. I was like, nah, let's not do it. And then she was like, no. Oh yeah, she was like, no, listen to the mix. And then it was like, oh, this is really good. It's kind of the first album I was like, oh, I'm not embarrassed of this.
Oh, that's amazing.
I was like, oh, this isn't bad. I can let people listen to this. And then so it was shocking that like for me it was surprising that I got a nomination. There's a lot of good comics who released albums last year, so
no, that's so dope, man. And even what I enjoyed about it too is like the style, the performance, and the mix and stuff. It makes you feel like when you're listening to it, like you're in like a tinier club, like just
that's awesome,
very intimate. Like it has a very authentic feel to like going to like a comedy bar, or like even like when I went and visited like the Cellar, the Comedy Store, like those like little tight tiny venues, but like even the way that you just naturally riff with the audience and go off on your material and like just be able to like connect it, like that shows us like a true vet, man. And that's something I totally like appreciate.
I mean we recorded it at the Ossington, so it's like a tiny, like it's a tiny back room. I like hearing, I mean, I enjoy big specials, like you watch a big comic do a special, but I really like watching like small specials, like when it's like a comedy club, or like someone like Maria Bamford's when she did in her parents' house. Like those things are just like I don't know, it just captures. I like playing rooms. I like there's a lot of great like small rooms in Toronto now. They're like kind of dedicated to stand up like all days of the week. So it's like I don't know. I just feel like that's kind of where, I mean, it's been going there for a long time. I just like that. I like a comedy club feel. And yeah.
And yeah, I find sometimes when people do the recording, like I don't know if it's just how it's recorded or just maybe they're overthinking their set and not like going off the track and doing too much crowd work, but it doesn't have that I don't even know the word. It's just like a authentic feeling of being there live, which once again, like I feel like this album has. It's almost just sitting down and like listening to it with my headphones. I kind of got lost in it. I'm like, oh, this guy might even roast me, like sitting on my computer. Like it feels like you're there.
Well, you don't know how crowd work's gonna go, especially on an album, because it's just one person listening. So like you just kind of commit to it because that's what you got. So you just go with what you got. Like I'm gonna do what I do.
Yeah.
And then I guess it worked out. Like you're saying, it sounds like you're in the club. I'm like, oh, I never even thought about that. But yeah, I appreciate that. That means a lot that you said that. Yeah.
Oh, right on. Yeah. And even on the show too, I talk to people of all different art forms. And what's interesting too, whether it's like a comedian, a band, like a pro wrestler, they say like sometimes they'll get like while they're performing in this flow state where it turns into like an unconscious thing, and it's almost like you get off stage and you almost don't even remember like what's happening. And do you feel that way too? Because when I listen to like this album too, you're just like on and like riffing and be able to like go off your material, talk to the crowd, get back, like it's just something.
I find like I enjoy it afterward. Like I was doing a show on Monday, and there was like a homeless guy bought a ticket to come in, and he was trying to make it about himself. And I was just like, it was fun. Like it was just a fun to riff with this guy who was like, he was trying to mess me up. He was trying to fuck me up. I don't know. Can we swear? I just swore.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was trying to fuck me up but it was fun. And I don't know. I guess it's that like it's almost like you're in a rhythm, or you're in a flow with the audience, and you're trying to build this rapport, and then it's just kind of the same thing where you're just like you're kind of you just trust yourself. But then also at the same time, things can go horribly wrong. This is the thing, like I've had comics come up to me, and they'll say stuff like, if you just did this, because they see the bad show, but there's good, like you're walking a risk of like, if I ask this question, I don't know who I'm asking it of, and things can go horribly wrong. Like it could not go anywhere, and someone could get mad, but that's the risk that you take.
Yeah.
And so, sorry.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, that's what I love so much about the art form too. It takes a certain type of person with like just bravery to do that, because like you said, it's like a dice roll when you go up there. It's not like when you go see a band, you're gonna see a bunch of openers and they're gonna kind of sound like in the same genre. With comedy, like there could be like a clean guy like headlining and everybody goes to see them, and then you got like maybe your act where it gets a little like riskier, and like the crowd can fucking turn on you in like a moment,
and you can ruin the whole show
night, and it could be like the best show ever doing the same material. Like it's wild. Like
and it's kind of like a leveling thing where you're just like it's very kind of like I guess all art forms is kind of like this, but it's like very much like a lesson in like just your ego, because like you said, like it could be anything any night, so you just have to take everyone for who you take audiences for who they are. Sometimes audiences like quieter or more subdued, but they're still having fun, so you just kind of just take everybody for who they are. But sometimes they'll turn. Sometimes I've had Satan's Choice get mad at me. I was doing a show when I was newer. I was making fun of it.
For Americans listeners too, this is kind of like a Canadian Hell's Angels, like
gang. They were having I guess a Christmas or a birthday party. I was making fun of the guy, and they were like, "Yeah, keep going," and then I turn around and the guy's right behind me on stage. He's like, "What the fuck did you say?" And then they had to pull him off, and then the cops were called because they wanted to. It was a whole that was years and years ago. It was like I was a new comic. I didn't know better, and now you know better.
It's like it's scary, but it's like one of those things where it's like at the time maybe it wasn't as fun, but then now you got like a cool story.
You have a cool story. Exactly.
Even I like to, like you mentioned in the album too, like after you did the coma vacation bit, you mentioned that another night was like, yo, like my friend was in a coma, it's not cool. Like, and
Yeah.
again, that's another thing where it just somebody can throw a wrench in your gears of your bit.
Oh, 100%. Like, you don't know, like, I guess that's stand up, right? Like, that's the fun of it. It's like you said, it's like, yeah, you never know who you're in front of. And like, sometimes you just have that anxiety of, okay, here we go. But like, also, that's what my podcast, we talked about the Chris Rock slap. And my friend, who's not a comic on the podcast, was like, he was kind of like, well, they're both wrong. And I'm like, yeah, I tend to be like, Chris Rock is a comic. He had to commit to whatever he's going to do. So even if like, you don't assume someone's going to smack your face at the Oscars.
Yeah,
you just don't. Yeah.
And even how they set up those shows too, like Chris has like maybe like 6 hours of material or however fucking long that show is, and it's like writers feeding him stuff, and he's pretty much just reading a teleprompter. And like that could have been just something like, oh, it's just like a G.I. Jane joke. It's like, okay, next, like not something he wasn't even overthinking. And like, I have like kind of leaned towards like Chris Rock's side as well too. I'm like, he's just doing his job. Like, you know,
it wasn't the greatest joke. Like, it wasn't like, oh, that's a Chris Rock joke. It was just like, that's kind of a throwaway joke. I mean, I'm not even, I won't say that she didn't have a right to be offended, blah, blah, blah. I just think the way they reacted was, I don't like that shit. No.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah,
that was like a bar crowd.
And it totally like just like took over the internet for a week.
Yeah. 100%. It did the opposite effect of what he was trying to stop. Take my wife's name out your mouth. Is like, well, no, not everyone now is gonna be talking.
Will, you're a meme forever.
You're just like everybody. Yeah, I don't know. That was a weird fucking moment. That was weird. I didn't mean to bring it up on your show. Sorry.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good, man. It's cool to get a take from like a comedian and a true vet like yourself too. Like I mentioned, like I've seen you over the years, and even my first time seeing you was probably like a decade ago. And I kind of want to ask, like, what's the key to, or like in your perspective, a key to being or longevity in being a comic? Because I see a lot of people come and go, and even I dabbled in it. I jumped out of it. It's like I find
how long did you do it?
So I dabbled in it back when I first met you like 10 years ago.
Okay.
And a few years later, I did it again. I did like little tiny shows and some open mics, and then just life kind of took me in another direction. But I did enjoy it, and there was some great days, some bad days, and like I kind of loved it. But at the same time, just some other things popped up, and now I guess I'm a podcast host now and the interviewer. But
it's very similar. It's very similar. Yeah.
One thing I learned was you got to put 100% in it.
Yeah.
To keep like whether it's just like the conditioning, like we're talking about being on stage and somebody says something in the crowd to just be in that flow state. Where if I noticed every time I took a break, it was fucking like starting all over again. Like, it was crazy.
Especially like, I mean, with COVID, you took a lot of breaks, but if you're new, that's the thing, because you don't really have your voice. It takes, I would say, about like almost 15 years to really understand. But like, also like, for me, self-awareness is important. To be self-aware and to be around regular people. I don't know if comics are, but be around regular people other than comics and be completely honest with yourself. Like, you have to know when, like, you shit the bed on this one, or you messed this shit up, or like, come on, that's kind of dated. Even though you like it, it's not. You have to be a self-editor, and I think like being honest with yourself, self-aware is like, that's important, and patience. Patience to sit and like it takes a long time for a bit to get good, so you have to like just sit and. Like, sometimes you're bombing. You're like the pro on the show with the newer guys are destroying, and you're gonna bomb with your awkward shit. And it's just like, that's how it is, right? And it's not easy. It's still like, you get frustrated and angry, but you go, okay, I got to keep working this and keep working it, and then eventually it gets good.
Yeah. That's amazing. And it's a good reminder to anybody like pursuing that. And even like I mentioned, I've been filming like the battle rap scene too. And I noticed like in comedy and in that scene too, where there's a lot of people who jump into it who don't have that self-awareness, and it takes like a huge like reality check, but it like changes them completely. Like to edit your own material. But then
Yeah.
you see people early on who are very amateur at it, where they're trying to make excuses. It's like, oh, it's the room's fault or whatever, when sometimes it's just like, yo, you gotta be like, I made a mistake, and what can I learn from that mistake?
Yeah, like I mean, that's just like, that's your ego when you're just protecting yourself. Like when you're like first 5 to 10 years, I'd say 5, you're just trying to like survive. It's all survival. So you're doing everything you can. So like you're just protecting yourself, going, it's the room, it's the audience, it's stupid. I was like, new comics will come to me and go, oh, they don't want to hear this. And it's like, no, they don't want to hear you saying that. Every audience is open to whatever, but they don't want to hear you saying it. You just don't know how to do it yet. But there's no audience where they don't want to hear something or don't want to do that. There's a way. I mean, generally, I should say generally, but yeah, I could imagine like new rappers trying to do battle raps, and they're just like, it's just, you don't know how hard it is. Like you think things are natural, like everyone's a natural, and it's like, no, there's a lot of work involved with doing what you're doing. There's a lot of like heavy lifting.
Yeah. I think sometimes people like, they realize how easy it is to sign up to maybe like an open mic or like one of these like events, and they automatically think, okay, since my name's on the poster, like I'm special. But then they're gonna have a real like check like real soon is where it's
a low bar of entry. It's like, all you gotta do, do you have a voice? Come on in. That's it.
But then like to survive, it's like you need the high skill. There's something poetic about that too, where it's just people just go up and eat shit, and they're gonna stay or they're gonna run away from it and be like, I never want to feel like that again.
Yeah. It's to last 10 years, and like especially like Canadian comedy, that's a grind. Like you gotta, and I don't know, there's a Toronto, like Canada has a lot of great comics and a great comedy scene. So there's a lot of guys now who are very new, and the scene is now, they're now, I wouldn't say the veterans, but they're the main guys, right? Like I'm at the end of them, but they're the main guys. And most of these people nominated outside of me, I'm the older guy, and outside of me are like, they're the main guys. They're the new headliners, and they're just like, they're really good, and they understand comedy quicker than I did because they have so much access to it. Like we didn't have YouTube coming up. We didn't when I was starting. So like you had to figure it out as you go. I'm not saying that they cheated. I'm just saying it's like, they've gotten good really quickly.
Yeah, even back in the day, there wasn't podcasts, because I knew like when I was like dabbling in that shit, like podcasts were kind of new, and it was like the first like year of Rogan sitting down with his buddies, and like, and you hear some serious game by just like sitting there and like being like, oh my god, like I can be a fly on the wall to all these pros. Where I'm sure like when you started, like that wasn't a thing. You just gotta go, and maybe like a car ride on a tour, somebody tells you something, or like
and usually when you're on a car ride on a tour with a pro, it's just them complaining about how they're not getting stuff. So you don't learn too much. You learn some, but not too much.
I'm a therapist, right?
It's a lot of therapy. You're just excited to be there, and then you see the future, you're like, what the fuck is going on? I thought we were here to make people laugh.
That's an awesome perspective. And have you toured like much in the States? Like I've seen you like all over like the Southern Ontario region and everything. But
in the last couple of years, no, but just before that, I was on tour with Russell Peters, and I toured the States, but not like crazy, not insanely. England, like here and there. For me, it's the craft more than the business, which I'm sure sounds terrible, but I do like, I like the idea of building an album or building something. So that's more important for me, which business wise isn't a smart thing to do, but it is what I enjoy. I enjoy I enjoy putting the thing together. Well,
it's nice to have like I don't know, I think that's cool, like when you're just like all about the art. Like I find like that's when the best stuff comes. But if you can have like some people in your circle who are more business savvy to take care, like you mentioned too, like you almost didn't want to put out this recording, and then somebody else kind of gave you the push, and now it's boom, Juno nominated.
It's weird. It's like I don't have the brain for like I don't have the brain for that kind of thing, right? To look outside. It's also a lesson in like how you're not right about everything, right? Like you just your perspective is because she saw something where I was like, I don't know. And then she was like, nah, just listen to this. And I was like, okay, let's release that.
Yeah, I
So,
really relate to that with shit I do too. Like,
yeah.
for a couple of years, people are like, "Yo, get a Patreon." I'm like, "Oh, nobody's gonna sign up." And
Yeah.
I finally do it. I'm like, "Oh." And shout out to all you guys who are getting this episode early. I love you. But it was again like I understand like sometimes just like as a creative, like you can get so deep into your own thoughts
Yeah.
and like craft, and that's like doing the business stuff is like another side of your brain you got to use. And
Is it Canadian? Is it because we're Canadian? Is that what?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're not like really like pushy with your stuff either?
No, yeah, I'm not pushy. I'm not. All right, it's like just very American. I admire.
If you want to listen,
if you like it, it's you can find it. It's hidden behind some other links. I'm I have American friends where I'm like I'm so impressed at how Americans like they do their stuff, like just the way they are, just so confident, just naturally. It's like in their blood, I guess. But yeah. Yeah, I'm not like them at all. I mean, I love being who I am, being a Canadian. It's just sometimes I look at American people and I'm like, oh, you really believe in yourself. Good for you.
I feel that too. Like with again, like too seeing the examples of the American people I know, and I feel like Canadians were always like tiptoeing around stuff when really we should just kind of just fucking shoot for it. And
100%. Yeah, we're just I don't know. It's our identity. Humble.
Humble. There's something charming about it though.
Yeah. It's like a quiet rage. I think we have a quiet rage. Like that's what I love about Newfoundlanders. Is just like everyone's like they're the nicest people on the planet, but they can be like there's an anger underneath that niceness, which I find hilarious. It's just like they are very nice, but there's also a bit of like sarcasm in there. Yeah.
And that comes from a deep-rooted place, probably with pent-up aggression and everything.
It's hilarious. Yeah,
that's awesome. And I heard like doing shows out that way are amazing too. Like the crowds are just so awesome.
It can be. Sometimes I've had a couple where they were like tough as hell, but like you just we my friend Stephen Kinch and I used to do tours out there, and we used to, it was like we just booked all these shows, and some of them were just cash grabs. Like you had to go in and play a room and you're like, okay, but it was fun. They were all the tours were fun, but yeah, most of the time, like they're just like they're very welcoming, and like they like stand up, they love comedy. Yeah. And sometimes I think that a lot of Canadians, Hamilton does this, where they think they're like our identity as Canadians is funny, so they think they're just as funny as you. And so they'll try to compete on some, and you're just like, it's a bit annoying, but you deal with it.
You deal with it. Yeah, that's interesting. Even like you mentioned, you went on tour with like Russell Peters as well. Were you guys doing like theaters and stuff like that? Yeah,
we did San Diego, and where else did we go? We went to another place. It was like up in the mountains, like this tech place. It was like, Russell does theaters or big clubs. If he's working on material, he'll do big clubs. So. But yeah, he does theaters. Yeah.
How do you like just feel as a performer from doing like smaller clubs to doing theaters? Do you switch it up? Is there like a certain vibe in the air where it changes how you perform and do your cadence and everything?
I find what I don't know. For me, I find like it's doing a theater, like doing a club. It's got a different pace. Like it's a quicker pace and it's fun. But when you bring that club energy to a theater, it's like it's slower, but it's like they kind of don't expect it and they kind of like it. Like it's like whoa, this is great, right? I learned that from watching Russell. Like I remember watching Russell play what's the Sky Dome, which is not the Sky Dome, Scotiabank. Scotiabank. Yeah. And I remember watching him and I was like, oh, he's like a club. He's doing like he does in the clubs. In Scotiabank, and it's like, oh, so he made the intimate but made it big, but it's big. Wow. And so like I think that's what he brings to stand up a lot. Like that's kind of what he brought to stand up. It's just like, oh, you can do that, you can be that comic that you were in the club in a theater. It's just pacing is a little different.
And
Yeah.
do you get nervous at all before shows?
Only at like mics, open mics. Like when I got to work on material, that's when I'm like, I was telling a comic last night, and I'm like, and I don't know why I say this stuff, because when it's a younger comic, they think I'm like being fragile, but I'm just like psyching myself. But I'm like, I always feel defeated before I go on, or vulnerable, very vulnerable. But like, it's just an open mic working on material. But they're just small. It's a smaller room. They're closer to you. You're doing new material. It's a lot of, you know.
Yeah, my musician friends say the same thing too. It's scary when you're playing in front of like 5 people, but then they could do like a festival, and like it's almost like the crowd just turns into like a blur. Like the more people it is, and it's not even like you're not focusing on one guy's like eyes just staring at you.
Exactly.
Like, you can just kind of be like, yeah, it is what it is. Like,
there's more expectation. I guess it's just you got 5 people in there. You're like, okay. And then usually, like for me in a venue like that, I'm working on new material, so it's like I don't want to go like when you're playing like a venue you've been paid to do. You can go to the hits. You can bring the hits out, and you got that cushion. And when you're playing, like you got I'm here for a reason. Like I left my wife to go out and work on material. I gotta, and that in itself is nerve-wracking.
Yeah. And that's like another thing like I respect so much about the craft too, because you can have like your heaters, your hits and everything, and then it's like, okay, it's time to make new ones, and then it's like, I don't know how this is gonna go, and it's like you could be experimenting with a new style, or oh my god, like
and that's like what you said, like one night you're like killing, and the next one you're bombing, and you're like, and there's nobody knows your process except for you. Like nobody knows that, oh, he's working on, you can't go, this is all new material. I guess some comics do that, but like, I'm working on new material. Now you guys got to go up and like rip the Band-Aid off and like suck. And you suck for like a month, like a good month, you suck. And then it starts, oh, here's a piece that works here. Here's a piece that works there. And and you just build it together.
Yeah. Even you're bringing back like some memories too of like 10 years ago when I was like doing what I was doing on in open mics too. And I remember having a moment where like I had like 2 different bits and they didn't connect, and I just kept forcing them together, and it just kind of like the flow wasn't there. And then months later I thought of like another bit that went in between, and then it just all connected like a puzzle. It was like, oh my god, like like an epiphany, like the light bulb just went off.
That becomes the best bit too. Like that's the most fun thing to do for like 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah, and like there's like turns into like a callback. It's so crazy. But again, it goes to what you were saying of like the more you do it, you gotta like eat shit and just like work on the same thing over and over and over. It almost takes like I understand why some people, they might try it once or twice and just be like, this is not for me. Like, I don't like how this feels. Like, there's lots of like vulnerable people who like, they're like, oh, I'm funny. My mom thinks I'm funny. You go on there and it's just like, oh, reality check.
You get that punch in the throat. And then like when you're starting out, you want your bits to be longer. You got this one joke that's but you want it to be like a 5 minute joke, and it's not like, you don't know how to, you're forcing it. It's just tons of filler, and you're just forcing it. There's a lot of awkward moments in stand-up. It is a lot of awkward moments. Like it's fun. That's what makes it fun, is like overcoming the awkwardness, winning, I guess, right? Like you did good. And then
Yeah. And when you like go up and try different things, how do you like really edit your material? Do you just remember like, oh, that doesn't work or whatever? Do you record yourself and listen to it?
I try to record, but I don't do it as much. I should, but like I'll go up and I'll work an idea for like a week, and I have a game plan when I go in. So I'll work that idea, what my game plan is, and try to, because my bits are more like, it's like what's Larry David show, Curb Your Enthusiasm script, where it's like I have an idea and I follow that where it's funny, and then I come home and I like kind of punch it up, because you don't want to I'd rather have my thing work 99% of the time, as opposed to it works sometimes and it doesn't work, and it's just like it feels sloppy. So I gotta come home and like craft it out. I have to do it from last night too, but like, yeah, it's yeah, I try to figure out, okay, why didn't that work? I know it can get a laugh. Like you just, I think after time, you just kind of understand and can read a room and understand why something didn't laugh the way it needs to or didn't, or, and most 99% of the time, it's your communication. Like you didn't communicate an idea properly. That's 99% of the time. You just didn't communicate the idea.
Oh,
So
very
the,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, cool. And how often do you go out to like just work on things? Do you go out every day, every couple days?
I can't do every day.
Yeah.
I can't do every day. I try when I guess like doing it within the first 15 years, I would be like almost every night. I'd be
Wow.
at.
Yeah.
And then I got to a point where I'm I like it's the Jordan thing again. You start doing fadeaways, right? You're not dunking anymore. Like I found I wasted more energy going out for me. I'm not saying for all comics, but for me, I wasted more energy because I wasn't doing the homework, like going home and writing and like doing that kind of energy and putting more time in preparation, using the mic as like a beta testing area, right? So it's like, okay, let me do the homework and then use the, as opposed to let me do everything at the open mic, right? Like let me write and then and do it all and hopefully it. So yeah, it probably an average twice a week now on average, unless I'm like working a weekend and I'm like all week long. Yeah.
Yeah, even like I find like some people think to get good they got to be in the grind too, but
Mm.
with an art form like comedy and even other things like music and whatever example I can say, like sometimes like you need to just experience life to put that in there. It's almost just like step out and get inspiration from places you don't expect inspiration to come from.
Right.
And yeah,
Yeah, I
because
find also. Sorry, go ahead.
oh no,
Sorry,
I think there was like a delay. I didn't mean to jump over you there, but
that's okay.
yeah.
I was just saying, like, I find like sometimes I'll do a mic and I'll be like angry because it didn't go the way I wanted.
Mhm.
And then I need like that time to like the next day to be like, oh, it wasn't that bad. You gotta laugh on this, and this, and then oh, okay, and then you work from there. So like I need that time, that space of nothing, of just getting
Mhm.
over the emotion of feeling like shit. Because that's just your ego getting bruised, right? So you just feel like shit for like 12 hours and you go, oh, okay. Oh no, they weren't bad. This stuff worked and da 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 da. So yeah. If
Yeah,
you have a game plan, yeah, you're fine.
yeah, I can even see if like say you're just at the comedy club every night and like all your newer material are just gonna be like things only comics can relate to, you know? It's like you kind of got to go out and live
Yeah.
your life and like a like a regular person and
Like
get
a human. Yeah. You gotta
yeah,
be a
yeah.
human. Because you want to relate to humans. Yeah, like
Yeah, that's part of the game.
when I was starting it, that was it was the hangout, right? And you're there every night and you're hanging out. It's the greatest place. All your friends are comedians and blah blah. Then you get married, you have some kids, and you're like, oh, I'd rather be with my family, but this is my job. And so it's like I love being around comics, especially comics from my generation. I was telling a comic the other day how like our dreams have we like they've been crushed because we're all too old now. So comics my generation like cool to hang out with. They're just fun. Like they're just I have family and I'm doing this and like they're more realistic and not so hungry. And
Mhm.
not that they're not hungry. I just mean that they're more. It's a different mentality, and so they're fun to hang out with. But yeah, it's you just get to a point where like this is a job, and I'm working with other people, and I'm here for a reason, not just to because this is my family, and not that there's anything wrong with that either. I mean, that's what you go through. That's like just how comedy goes. You're young and this is the greatest thing ever, and I'm hanging out with these people, and then you get older and you have a life, and that's how it works. Yeah.
Mhm. And do you see like a huge difference in how like the art form evolved with like the generations? Because like you mentioned, like when you started, like a lot of the stuff wasn't like really like social media online
Yeah.
driven, where now that's very, very
Yeah.
prevalent. Like in some of my friends who are doing well in stand-up comedy, it's because their TikTok blew up and shit like that. Like
Yeah.
it's like a whole different like thing that almost pushes your craft forward, but it has nothing to do with being on stage. And it's an interesting like thing going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, like, you reach more people. Like, I my social media is horrible, but like, yeah, I completely get it, and I completely and like the what's changed is like now crowd work is a thing. Like, that's a legitimate. When I was kind of like, I get it now from older comics, where it's like crowd work is like that's cheating. Like, you're not really doing stand up. But now it's like that's when you go on TikTok or Instagram, it's crowd work bits. Like, because you're not burning material, you're showing stuff in the moment, and it's just like, yeah.
Mm.
And some great guys doing crowd work too, like just it's like Andrew Schultz he's really good at crowd work, like just funny. Like, there's a lot of good comics doing crowd work out there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's so interesting. You said like some of the older generations say that's cheating because
yeah,
from like it takes so much work and time to be able to do crowd work efficiently. Like
yeah,
I feel like that's like in my brain of watching a stand-up comic, I'm like, oh, this guy's a true vet when he can do crowd work. And
yeah,
then for like a lot of new people and what I was doing, I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, please nobody say anything, let me get through my
yeah,
material.
yeah,
Nobody heckle me. Like
yeah,
that's like the early stages, like you just
yeah.
want to get through your shit. But yeah, with pros, like to me this is just like all art forms are subjective, but to me when I see a stand-up being able to like just rock with a crowd or talk to the people in the front row and all that, like that's opposite of cheating to me.
This is what I like about the newer generation with like social media and stuff like that. Like, the rules are gone. Like, the gatekeepers are not there. So like you can make a living or become famous without having to go through the gatekeepers. My generation, we had gatekeepers. You had to go through this person, you had to do it this way. So a lot of it was like a lot of guys didn't do crowd work because it just didn't pay off for anything. You couldn't put on TV and stuff. So now it's like this is what's great about this generation. It's like just do whatever you want. Like, anything could be like, yeah. So I don't know. That's why like you can't tell younger comics that what they're doing is wrong, because you don't know. Like, how am I going to tell someone who doing their thing and they blow up is wrong? It's no, that's their thing.
Yeah,
I mean, I still have it
exactly.
in my head, but I don't think I'm right either. Right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like I know I'm from an old school, so yeah, I assume.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, that's so interesting too, and yeah, like anything, everything's going to keep evolving too, and like
exactly.
it doesn't stop, and do you find like are you trying to like embrace new ways or just kind of like doing you?
I'm kind of just embracing me.
Yeah.
I just like doing like for a long time I tried to fit, and I think this again is when you're younger, it's like what you do is like, what's wrong with me and how do I fix that to fit into the thing. I know I have to do more social media. I know I should be putting stuff on TikTok. And I'm moving towards that more. It sounds like a self-help. It sounds like an interview. No, but I'm in this, but I'm in this point where I'm like, I just, I do what's easy for me. It's kind of lazy, but it is like, that's how I came up with that album. That's how I come up with my comedy, is like, I do what feels good. And that's all I do. Like, I just like follow that and not force myself into an idea that I need to be something. And
Yeah.
then, and yeah, so yeah, and things will come. Like, if I want to do TikTok, that's my mentality with a lot of things. If I want to do it, I'd be doing it. Right? Everything's hard work. If I wanted to do it, if I'm not doing it, means I don't want to do it. So I don't do it. I don't know. Maybe it's a dumb way to go through life, but it's just kind of like easy for me.
I think it's amazing, and maybe this is like part of like the key to your longevity of being a comedian, where it sounds like you're still enjoying it,
Yeah.
where some
Yeah.
people like it turns into a job, and then it's like they're like, wake up, it's like, oh, I fucking hate this shit,
I
and
hate.
it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Cause like, yeah, it's like the goal is to be mainstream while doing what you want to do, right? Like, to
Mhm.
play mainstream rooms. Yeah, 100%. Was like, and people get bitter too, right? Like, I think when you find what I find is like competing with myself is like, I can't, I, I can't control anyone else's direction or how successful they get or what they do. All I can do is control myself, and it's actually giving me peace of mind. It's just like, oh, okay, I'm good. I'm like, People can pass me, people can kill me, people can be more popular than me. I'm fine. This is my journey. This is what I'm going on. So yeah, that's taken years of growing up, I guess, and then just becoming that.
Yeah.
Just trying to be mentally healthy.
That's so important. That's really great to hear. Like, I love that you shared that with us and everything.
Oh, am I being like too, like, I don't know, like if I'm being too dry or too serious? I'm sorry if I am.
No, this is nice. This is
Okay.
even another comedian I had on. I'm sure you know Eric Johnson as well.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, I go on stage and like people listen to the podcasts I'm on, and people expect it to be funny, and then it just turns into like this big like therapy session and everything.
Yeah,
but it's like I don't know. This is just like the reality of it too, and it's cool that you're just being open with everything.
Yeah,
and people love hearing that shit, man.
Oh, that's good. Like my podcast is like, we joke around, but it's kind of like the same kind of deal. It's kind of serious too. I think it's just like no expectation. Like I'm not putting, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But like I know this is your podcast. I don't want to ruin your podcast with like,
no, this is the vibe. This is what it's all about. And
all right.
Yeah, it's just loose and going with the flow. And
that's good.
Like the best feedback I always get is people tell me they listen to it because it sounds like just a real natural conversation, like not trying to be something it's not. Like in a way, like sometimes it's funny, sometimes I've had people cry. I like it's like it's like it's just whatever the emotion is in the moment. And
well, you do a good job, because as soon as I got on your recording, like, so you do it like, so we're right in conversation.
Oh yeah, this is another like amateur mistake I used to make like years ago, where it was like I'd have a conversation before we started recording, and then hitting the button after, and it's almost like a fake hello again too, where now I'm like, I hit it on, and sometimes like I just be like asking questions, and the guests will just be like, "Oh, we're recording." I'm like, yeah, let's fucking go, bro.
I started recording. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we're in, so let's go. Let's do it. Which it's good, and then we're having a natural conversation. Like we're not. Yeah,
oh, definitely too, and even like I know I only met you briefly like a decade ago, but I was excited to talk to you today too, because there was a cool quote I heard recently, and it was, sometimes you don't remember everything a person says, but you always remember how a person made you feel. And I remember we had like this small exchange, and I forget if I was doing an open mic or I saw one of your shows. And it was just like, I don't remember what we talked about, but I'm like, oh, fucking Gavin, he's a good guy. And that's always been like a seed in my brain. And
thank you. I appreciate that. That's I can be polarizing for some people, but thank you. I appreciate that. Because I'm on, like, I'll be honest. I don't mean like, I'm just being honest, when people are just being assholes. I try not to be, I think the nicest thing you can do for people is be honest.
Yeah.
And so if someone asks me a question, I'm gonna be honest with you. Sometimes people don't want to hear it. That's fine. But usually I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to make people feel like shit.
And usually people who are like upset about honesty, like they have like this false narrative in their head of like shit, like it's just crazy. And it's like maybe you've like hit them like in a spot in their ego that they didn't like look at and everything. And
I think sometimes it's validation, right? Like it's like, oh, you're not validating who I am by having and honesty is like all perspective. Like, I mean, I can have a different perspective than you. It doesn't mean that you're honest. Your honesty isn't real. It's just, but sometimes people just need their worldview to be validated. Like, oh yeah, we share the same thing, and great, let's move on. My friends and I, we have some debates. My wife and I have debates. Like crazy. Yeah. But that's part of the fun.
Yeah, and that's healthy too, especially like you can have like these heated debates, but still deep down like you love each other, and it's like just getting it out.
100. That's how I was raised. Like we just like at the dinner table have politic talk and just go off and disagree, but that's just I think that my parents raised me differently than like some people where it's just like, yeah, oh, you're not supposed to like have these heated discussions. It's like, oh, okay, I didn't know you're supposed to keep shit to yourself sometimes.
Yeah. But sometimes in those moments too of the heated discussions, like you'll hear things on both sides where both people will learn about something where maybe from a third person view it looks like, oh my god, these people are about to fight or some shit like that, but really there's like another like energy going on between the two people in the
100%. Yeah, like and if you trust the person, like you take them at good faith, you can learn and change your opinion. 100%. It's like not all conflict is bad. Some conflict, I again, that goes back to my stand-up. A lot of it is conflict, even when it's not conflict. There's a lot of like you're hitting up against people's ideas and beliefs sometimes, and you're just like, sometimes it just could be, sometimes you're just, what I like about guys like Patrice O'Neill or Bill Burr is there's a lot of things I don't agree with them on, but they made me laugh on things I don't agree with. So I'm like, okay, I appreciate comedy like that. So, I don't have to agree with it, but I can laugh at your perspective of it. So
that's such a mature mindset too. Like I noticed too, like just maybe because I'm scrolling too much on Twitter sometimes, that somebody will disagree, but instead of agreeing to disagree and going on with their day, they'll try to like attack them or like just fucking like tag it, like let's cancel this person for saying this like 14 years ago and blah blah blah. And
that happened to me on like after the Oscars. I said something about Will Smith's speech, and I was like something along the lines of that he was gaslighting us when he did that speech. I made a joke about him gaslighting, and then the next day I got like a flag about I guess it was like hate speech or something, and it was a tweet from like 2016 that was telling some guy off. It was so someone went through all my tweets and was like, that's wild. That's crazy, isn't it? It's the first time it ever happened to me. It was like, this is insane. Like,
I think that's also a sign of making it when somebody goes way back and they're trying to cancel you.
Trying to find the one they found.
Gavin Stevens.
Yeah, seriously. Well, I mean, I it was in the hashtag of Oscar, so someone was defending Will Smith and mad at me. I was like, oh man, that's scary. That's scary shit, right? Like your past is held up like that. Like things have changed, man. Like there's times I said some horrible shit in the past. That's terrifying. Yeah, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, but much respect to you and just any comic in general now. I know like how social climates are changing and like things that might have been in people's material like a few years ago are not, like there's some, I feel like comedy's like just like the last of like people just going out there and just saying like things that like I don't even know what I'm trying to say right now, but it's just like you're like the last of like the gangsters, you know. It's like still the Wild West in a way out there, but
I mean, I think people are like, there's tons of places to have a voice now. Like there's tons. I think stand-up, sometimes we take ourselves way too seriously. Like there's an element where I agree, but I also like, I think about like on a Monday night around the world, right? How many shows are going on? How many people get canceled on like we're not really under fire. There's a lot of comics who are like doing jokes about us being under fire, but we're not like, and like you said, like people's sensibilities have changed, and it's just like that's the parameters of stand-up, right? It's just like, how do I fit this thing in this new world? I'm not saying that you're completely wrong, but it's also I don't think it's like, it's not as bad as the perception of it being bad. Like it's just I don't,
and especially you're the guy who's up there and like being in these clubs and everything, seeing it from that perspective. And
I find like most people are surviving, if not thriving, even the ones that are like complaining about getting canceled. Like, you know, like who was it? It was I think it was comedians in cars getting coffee, and it was Seinfeld and someone else, and they're like complaining about how they can't do jokes at colleges and how they're getting canceled, and they're driving a $500,000 car. It's like, Like things aren't that bad.
Fine.
Yeah, you're fine. Like people like what's his name? Oh my god, Dave Chappelle. Like, dude, you're making millions and millions of dollars. Yeah, like you're fine. You're on a platform. You have your audience. You're gonna tour like crazy. Comedians are fine. We're fine.
Yeah,
we're not.
So you think like this? Maybe like a lot of comedians who preach that they're just overthinking the situation. And
I think there's a lot of comedians who found an audience doing that. Like they're playing to an audience that wants to hear that. And it's just like you could sell a lot of tickets doing that. But I also think there's also like, you know, a lot of comics complaining about how you can say anything, but you can never, like, there was never a time where nothing was off limits. Like, it was never a time in comedy where like there wasn't people offended in crowds. Like, there never, ever was there a time where people were like, oh, you can't say anything anymore. Like, I see people bring up the Blazing Saddles argument. Like, you can't do Blazing Saddles now. It's like, yeah, you can't do Blazing Saddles now because it was a parody of Westerns. They don't make Westerns. Like, you know, they just don't. It was, the whole joke was like how they used to portray Westerns on television. Everyone was like nice and clean. It was like, no, there was racism. That was the joke. There was racism in Westerns. But like, yeah, I mean, comedians, people get mad at comedians. There's always going to be people like being offended by comedians. It's just how it is.
Yeah, it's part of the job, and it's
yeah. And I think online has democratized voices. So like, I can talk to like J.K. Rowling. I can like tweet her. I can directly tweet her, and she can hear my voice. Whereas before, they didn't have to hear that. Yeah. So I mean,
that's facts too.
Yeah.
I find a lot of people too. They tend to remember like the one negative thing somebody says over like maybe the 20 praises or whatever, and hyper focus on those things. Yeah, sometimes people like, but I mean, that's like humans, right? Like we just like, I mean, that social media is designed for hate. That is 100%. Social media is designed. The algorithm runs on hate. It's just, so it's like, it's made to tell like somebody like a celebrity to go fuck themselves.
100%. It is 100% made for someone to fuck up one day and everyone dogpile. It's like that's what it's built for. That's the algorithm. So I mean, like, if you're online, that's if you're terminally online, that's your reality. But if you're not, it's not in the real world. It's not a thing. Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's so cool. Like you're seeing like all these different generations of how like the art form is and changes with whether it's like push of technologies prior to that too. And I just want to know like through the longevity and everything outside of comedy, what inspires you to do comedy?
Outside of comedy, that's a good question. What inspires me? I guess it's just like, anything that lets me like do my voice, I guess. That's a good question. I'm kind of stumped on that one.
Like maybe there's something like you intake like or like a relationship or maybe movies you watch and like you get a certain energy where it's just like, yo, I want to, something. It goes into your comedy or something like that. If you have that,
this is kind of not outside comedy, but it is like when I watch like like comics doing like Conan sets, like those type of like late night or short sets, and I'm like, or those crowd work comics. I'm like, oh yeah, like that really gets me going. Like I really want to do it. Not longer sets, like longer shows are fine, but like watching those shorter sets or like sometimes I'll read a book and they got some sort of something in it that makes sense, or sometimes just seeing people interact and like there's like, the philosophy of that person interacting is interesting. But yeah, that's a long answer for that question.
No, I love it too, and there's no right or wrong to it too. It's just I don't know.
I wish I could say
certain things give you, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's like almost gives you like an energy that you put
I wish it was like canoeing. I wish I could just give you like making cookies. It was like, that's
it's all good. I love the long-winded answers.
Just like,
it
yeah.
wasn't that long-winded either. So,
Okay.
yeah,
I
that's
appreciate
great.
it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you, man. Like, it's cool to kind of reconnect after all
Yeah.
these years as well. And next time, like I'm located in Toronto right now, but next time you do a show out this way, I'm definitely gonna have to go see you live again.
Yeah, I think we're doing I should be plugging this, but we're doing the Juno show on the 13th of May. So that's gonna be two
Cool.
shows at the Comedy Bar. So
Oh,
yeah.
nice. And is it with other like Juno
Yeah, it's
nominees?
gonna be all but one of the Juno nominees are on that show. And we're all doing
Oh.
15. It's 7:30 and 10:30 p.m. at the Comedy Bar.
Yo, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to share this episode this week, but again, I'm gonna remind people to, like, that's going on and everything. That sounds really awesome.
Thank you.
Like around the date and yeah, once again, grats on
thank you.
And
I appreciate it.
One thing I just love about like hearing your story around that set is you're like, yeah, I didn't even want to really release it. Like, that's the coolest fucking shit ever, dude.
But like the second show, a woman came in and she was like drunk, and she was good for the first comic, and then me, it was like she broke a class in the front row. It was just like,
is that what you were remembering, like, of that night?
Yeah, but I always get chaos. Like, people just, chaos attracts to me. Like, I'm not everyone's sitting there at night. There's always some level of chaos in my show. There's somebody with some, like the homeless guy on Monday. There's always some level of, I think I do it to myself, like, but it's just, I attract chaos.
That's almost like a blessing as a comic, but when you're just trying to like go to the grocery store or whatever, you're just like, fuck. But I guess I can make a bit out of this. Like, my one friend, shout outs to Johnny Rogers. He said he went to, I think he was like in LA or whatever, and he got like robbed at like knife point. And he said this is like when he was like die hard, like doing like open mics almost every night. And he said as he was getting robbed, he was thinking about, how can I turn this into a bit? He's like, that's when you know, like, your brain has gone too far into like the comedy world.
It's like a survival instinct. You're just like, all right, well, this is shitty, but how can I make money off of this?
That's also a beautiful thing too. And I talked to this with like a musician I had on, like they made an album about some like really deep pain and stuff. And that's the superpower of an artist, where you can take something shitty and turn it into like a piece that somebody, like, they'll either like laugh at, they'll like listen to, and like you mentioned, make money off. Like, that's the biggest fuck you to the universe, man. That's
100%.
Spin it right around.
Like, all right, let me make some. That is the biggest fuck you to the universe. It's like, all right, let me turn this into, how can I make money? How can I profit off of this? I have anxiety. How can I make money off of my anxiety? Right. It's like, I mean, I guess that's a cynical way to look at it, but it is kind of a way to look at it.
And then, like, probably during the time, like, it's very painful, but like in time, it's like a seed to like a flower or whatever. Fucking metaphor.
100%. And sometimes you can't do it, but you try. But sometimes this is too raw, but you try. I get your friend, like, with this beginning.
Like as he's getting robbed, he's like, where's the punchline?
That's awesome,
Johnny. But even before you go, let us know what your podcast is, and if you got anything else you want to plug.
It's Uncolonized. You get theuncolonized.com. Do I have anything else to plug? I guess I'm doing shows. You can go to my website, gavinstevens.ca. All my show dates are up there. I'm just currently working on the new album. So, like, just putting material together, post-COVID material. That's it.
Exciting times, man. And once again, thanks for taking the time to talk to me today.
Thank you for having me.
Like I mentioned, like, I'm a fan of your work too. And even that's what I love so much about doing the show. It's like, has an extra excuse for me to like get people like who make things I enjoy, and even like break down the certain layers. And man, like, I'm just like, I'm excited for your new material and excited to see you live at the comedy.
What do you green screen on the back? What do you put on the back?
I usually so for like newer episodes, I just kind of like have like this like weird like color like scheme. Like it looks like
Okay.
just like a plain like art piece. So
Okay.
people who like see like the episodes later on, they'll just see that and they actually think there's a painting behind me. But
Okay.
I use this for like other things too, like on Twitch and gaming and all this different shit too.
Oh, you do a gaming Twitch gaming stream?
Yeah, I started experimenting with it like over like lockdown, like a lot of people, and it's kind of
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's turned into like a little community of strangely people wanting to watch me play fucking video games.
That's awesome. That's great. That's the dream. Yeah.
Yeah. It's super cool.
What do you play?
So last whole entire month, I just been playing Elden Ring.
Okay.
Other than that, like I used to play like a lot of like different indie games, and I just like really hard like old school shit as well.
Yeah.
Do you game at all?
Yeah, I'm not. I wouldn't call myself a gamer, but I did. I just got an Xbox S. I have a PlayStation 4, and so I got a Game Pass.
Oh,
and,
cool.
I just finished Guardians of the Galaxy, which was just like, it was a great game. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, so I'm not crazy, but I do play. Yeah.
Lots of people were telling me that Guardians game is
really it's a great story. It was a really good game. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Actually, you got this new PC for quote unquote work, and then I realized it's like super fast, so I ended up getting the Game Pass as well too. So
okay.
If you're on like Halo or anything, we gotta fucking rip some.
Oh yeah, I don't like online Halo. I used to play online games, and kids would like just kill me and swear at me. And I was like, I don't like this. Just don't. I don't like. That's why.
This is supposed to be my downtime.
Yeah, exactly. And they're just taunting you and swearing at you. I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm good.
Yeah. I play that shit. I don't even turn on the mic anymore. It's just like fucking just mute everybody and just like shoot kids and stuff.
Yeah, I'm probably one of the few people that like the story mode, that just do the story and enjoy that. But yeah. I'm a casual. I would say casual. When I mean casual, like I'll play more than the average person, but I'm not crazy. That's I'm not that you're crazy. I just mean,
I'll disagree with you. I am crazy, but I go in waves where I won't be playing games for like maybe a couple months, and then I get this one game, and then it's like, oh my god, like 100% doesn't exist. And I had I had one of those episodes this weekend. Like that's why you can see like I'm usually clean shaved. I got some fucking raggedy things going in my beard. Luckily, most people only listen to the audio of this show, so it's
okay. Cool. Can you send me the link to the Twitch? I'm on Twitch. I can subscribe and watch.
I'll hit you back too. And
thank you.
Yeah, once again, Gavin, like I'll plug all your social media on all our stuff.
Thank you.
Let them know about the show. But I really enjoyed this talk today, man.
Yeah, this was fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely gonna have to have you on again down the road.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate this.
Yeah. All right, brother. I hope you have a great day, a wonderful week, all that, man. And I'll talk to you soon.
Same as you. Take care, man.
Thanks once again to Gavin for taking the time to hang with us. Like I mentioned, on May the 13th at Comedy Bar in Toronto. He's got the Juno showcase coming up, and you got to definitely see Gavin live. And also check out All Inclusive Coma. It's streaming everywhere. I gave it a spin on my Spotify, and I can't praise that set enough. It's amazing. Also, feel free to check out his podcast called Uncolonized. And for all things Gavin Stevens, go to gavinstevens.ca. And last but not least, we got to give a shout out to all you motherfucking legends on the Patreon. Yo, I appreciate you so much. Like seriously, like right now, all you guys are pretty much covering all the web hosting fees. So instead of me paying money to do the podcast, we're breaking even, baby. And I am so happy. I have so much fun doing this, and you guys help me out a lot because I don't know, life's been up and down, there's been waves. And last month I was fucking broke. So you guys are the best. And first shout out to the co-producer Jeremy Hopkin of Hopkin Design, the Queen Ola Mazuka of Sonic Fold, Ryan Watkins of Ryan Radio, Amanda McKnight of Top 10 Nerd, Pat Maloney, Ryan Campbell, Daniel Son, Devin Staple, Devin McBride, Ramshi. Check out his music. Mike Ulio, Jenny Potter, Jared Pepper Bronstein, aka Mr. Spicy. Oh my god, he's so hot. And last but not least, Francis Kopfer, aka my mom. If you guys want to shout out at the end of the episode as well and get all these episodes extra early, uncut and uncensored, literally the second I'm done recording, I take the raw Zoom file and I throw it on the Patreon, and it is what it is, and you can just listen to everything. To do that and to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/The Creative Imbalance, and the lowest tier is only $3 a month, and you get everything that I mentioned. In conclusion, whether you're on the Patreon or not, I still appreciate you guys listening. If you're still listening to the outro, I know I always turn off podcasts after the guest is done talking, because who gives a fuck about the host, am I right? It's all about the conversation, the bulk. But if you're still here, I appreciate you, and we got a couple more coming for you throughout the weeks. I'm so excited. We got some momentum again. I truly love doing this, and I love you. Sounded awkward. We're keeping it. Have a great day. Peace.